Hi Nicholas, it's great to have you here at the University of Derby. Now you've just come off stage from doing your famous show, Just a Minute, in the Student Union bar in front of an audience of students. How did it go for you?
Oh, they were wonderful. I mean, someone told them to go out and explain the history of Just a Minute, but it wasn't necessary. I mean, the only reason they were there was they'd heard about Just a Minute, and from the word go, they were absolutely lovely. And they were very powerful, and the response was amazing, and it was a memorable show. Every audience is subtly different from every other audience. But basically, if people are enjoying themselves, they all react in much the same way. And that audience was not much different from the average audience. They were quick, they picked up everything very rapidly and quickly, enjoyed themselves, expressed themselves, and I thought it was just a very typical show from a very warm, vociferous audience, which is what it should be.
Just come off stage then, Justin. How was that? How was your experience here at Derby Uni?
It was really good fun. I think it was quite a competitive game, the first one, and no, it was great. The audience were lovely and appreciative. I mean, it's a great game to play. It's not, you don't have to think about it really. It's a game that you've all played before, listening along. So to get a chance to do it, it's fantastic.
Did you feel that the audience kind of got it? Are they?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think it's just, you see, I do some gigs for students, and I've got to the age now where I was 18 when a lot of these people were born. I'm getting on a bit. I'm 40 next year, and I find it difficult to do student gigs itself. So it was great to do a show, somewhere. I mean, it's fantastic here, but a mixture of an audience of, students and local people, and and lecturers, and I don't know who else was there. They're just like people to me. I don't judge people, me.
It went pretty well. It felt a little bit odd to start with because I'm used to doing it in a theatre environment. And the room felt a little bit difficult. And I suppose you're a little bit nervous that how are the younger people going to take it who haven't seen it before. But I think by the end we'd won them over. Everyone's very happy, so we're pleased.
It must feel quite exciting sort of taking new material old material, to a new audience.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the format that seems to stand up with this game. And I think it's partly because the audience plays it themselves a bit in their own head. They're watching as well as everyone else. Are they going to slip up? And that gives you a little bit of leeway if what you're doing is actually not very funny. It's actually the game itself kind of works as just... It's about dexterity and trying to... Unfortunately, it's a skill you can't use in any other walk of life. So if you get good at it, it's no advantage anywhere else. But I think that's the reason it goes quite well.
And you can get all sort of het up and tie yourself in knots if you start thinking they want something different because they are students. It just seems to be nonsense to me. And it was a gig like any other, although such a difficult thing to do, just trying to press that buzzer and be first and not being first. And yeah.
It was quite competitive this evening.
It's always very competitive. I think there's a spirit in which it should be played and things, but there is just... It's just the number of times you're pressing the button and you're absolutely convinced that you were the first, and then you look up and somebody else has been given the challenge and you think, but 15 minutes has gone by and I haven't said a word yet. I'm trying to get in, but that's part of the fun.
Does it feel quite stressful?
No, it's just, I don't get stressed by that much, really. I find it enjoyable, but it's part of the fun. But you do sit there thinking, I want to bloody press it faster than that bloody woman to my right. She's too good at this game.
Is this the first time you've been in Derby?
No, I've played in Derby many times before. Not for a while, and I'm here again February, March, I think. I'm back in Derby, so it's always, there's not many towns of this size that you haven't played at some point in your life.
I've got a bit of a theory that, especially for sort of first year students or whatever, that there's a lot of pressure on people in their early 20s, 19, 20, to be happy and having a great time. And I think it's one of the toughest times of your life. You're trying to work out what you're doing, how you're doing it. All your parents and family are saying you should be really happy. You've got to... Don't worry if it's not that easy, because I think it's difficult, so just get through it. And the pressure is off you a bit if you're thinking, well, this is normal to feel a bit confused, or normal to think this isn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. Because there's a lot of pressure on students to be having a great time and all that, and it's not always a great time at all. So actually, probably the best thing is to just accept that and then get on with the course.
I did 1 year of being a student, another year where I was officially a student, but literally didn't attend any lectures in my second year, because I started, I think my first ever stand-up gig was in November, towards the end of my first year, and I got the bug, and I spent my second year doing that, and knew by the end of that year I was kind of doing okay, and I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life, and I knew I didn't want to get that degree, and I hadn't been to any lectures, and this was in the days of student grants. Sorry guys, I got given money and then wasted it, and I had to go to all these exams at the end of my second year, and if I didn't go to the exams, I would have to give my grant back, because that was basically, it wasn't like anyone taking a register to prove you'd been to anything. So I had to have some kind of record of my attendance, and the only record was my attending exams. And you had to do a minimum of half an hour in each exam to have attended. And so I went for half an hour of each and every one of my final exams at the end of my second year. It was probably like 12 different exams. And I just lied to all the people on my course and said I was doing really well. And I'd leave after half an hour, go, oh, that was easy, wasn't it? And I'd meet them in the pub afterwards and just go, oh, how easy was that? And I just for fun, because I knew I was bailing out. And I think my highest mark was something like 9%.
Putting the name on the top of the paper.
Yeah. I mean, I always filled that in. And I had to be there for half an hour, so I would actually try and answer a question, because it was actually more fun trying to answer a question than just sitting there twiddling your thumbs for half an hour. Might as well do something. But it's not a glorious career. And typically, because the university, they kept trying to persuade me to come back. You're on the record as someone who dropped out, and so you'd get a letter every year saying, why don't you come back? Come on, why don't you come back? Bless Manchester University. And they used to go to my old home address, which means my mum would get them. And even when I'd sort of had my own TV show and stuff, my mum would be going, have you thought about going back? I mean, it'd be something to fall back on, just like absolutely desperate for me to complete the job.
Even now?
Yeah, although I got life's ridiculous. I got an honorary degree from the University of Stafford, which my mum came to the ceremony. She was the only parent in the whole building wearing a hat. Utterly ridiculous. Celebrating, I've done no work for mine. There's all these students who've worked really hard to get there. It's quite embarrassing when I'm a university dropout and you're giving me this thing, and it's utterly ridiculous. And that seemed to sate her desire for me to succeed in the student arena. The fact that I did no work and somebody gave me an honorary degree many years later. So it's kind of over now.
Isn't it? Still thinking that student days are the best days of your life, though, or does it get better?
I think it gets better. I loved my student days. I learnt a lot about myself, and I learnt a lot about my craft, and I made some good friends I'm still friends with. But it is nice to think that your life gets better. You get to a certain age where things start falling off, which is a shame, but I'm 50 now, and I'm still very, very happy about living the rest of my life. So your student days are great, but there's more to come.
And Nicholas, finally, have you got a message of advice to our students here at the University of Derby?
All I can say is I think if you're a student nowadays, it's pretty tough. You're struggling. You've drowned your sorrows, I know, in a lot of alcohol and things like that, and I think you deserve to. The student days can be the best days of your life. So make the most of them, enjoy them, enjoy all the facilities, all the extra curricular things you can. Work hard, study hard. Don't forget you paid for your course. But enjoy everything that's at the university as you possibly can. Have a great time.
Do I have any words of advice? I think don't listen to too much advice. I think make your own way in the world. It's much more fun. And if you listen to loads of advice, you end up following somebody else's path. And I think that everyone I know who's having more fun and doing their own thing, they're the people you want to kind of be inspired by. But don't be inspired to follow them. Be inspired by their individuality, and then go and find your own. So ignore everything I just said.
All right, this is my message to the students of the University of Derby. Enjoy this time, because when it's over, it'll never be the same again. Never.